Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here. Today we're talking about Xbox because a leaked report has just come out that Microsoft is about to shut down pretty much every single studio of Xbox. They're about to fire 22,000 employees. This is just a staggeringly big amount. And immediately there are multiple different leakers and reports, and let me just start with how this is probably coming out. In certain parts of the world, you can't just fire people. You can't just come in and say, you're out, you're out, you're out. Instead, there's these employees' rights commissions, where essentially you have to give people some amount of warning. And a lot of times, these employees will start to leak it to the press, saying, hey, my entire sector is about to cease to exist. This literally is about to happen here in the next 2 weeks. Before the end of January, there's talks that they're firing 22,000 employees. This means game development shut down, games canceled, entire sections of PR, of development, of next gen, of controller production, just everything just instantly deleted so Microsoft can make 5% more profit. Now, I want to go through all of this and just the implications of it because immediately the entire internet is waking up and saying, bro, Microsoft isn't just bad for gaming, they're evil as a company. Let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Look at this number. Microsoft is rumored to be preparing another round of layoffs for the fourth consecutive January. They've been doing this in 2021, potentially cutting between 11,000 and 22,000 jobs to fund its AI initiatives. Now, I always hate this term fund of like, all right, you know how much they made last year? Last year alone, Microsoft made $100 billion of profit. Not even like $100 billion total. They made trillions total. They made $100 billion in profit. And what do they do with that? Oh, let's build more server farms. Let's dump every single bit of everything into AI. So they tell their investors, okay, well, we promise gaming isn't making any money or not making as much money. We're going to fire every single studio so that we have, 2% more fungible funds to put into AI, even though this is just so psychopathic. So, of course, what are the replies? Microslop, Microslop, Microslop. This is the thing. This company no longer produces quality of any sort of variety. This company does not produce great games. They don't create classics. They don't do good stories. They don't make great, cool innovation. They don't even make good online games, right? Even during the darker eras of Xbox, at least they were making cool games, right, that you could play online. I feel like a lot of people didn't really like Gears of War 5 as much as I did, but I was obsessed with Gears of War 5, and if you played that online, even just tossing aside the story of it, Gears 5 Online was absolutely awesome. The Hivebuster DLC, mwah, you're never going to see that again. This is the ex-president of freaking the company. This is the ex-president of Xbox. The challenge with AI hype drives your stock price high, yet no one uses Copilot. First, you force every division to figure out how to make Copilot, then force them to install it, then you rename Office to Copilot, so you could say you have hundreds of millions of users, then when all that doesn't work, you cut the workforce. Wrong strategy. Essentially what's happening with a lot of these companies that's happening right now is that you have to kind of pretend everybody already loves AI. Oh yeah, man, we'll just put AI in every single phone. Yeah, man, we have billions of AI users. No, you don't. They recently renamed Microsoft Office, the thing that pretty much every company uses to make their Word documents and Excel spreadsheets. They renamed that Microsoft Copilot and then said Copilot is part of their AI initiative. Basically saying, oh yeah, there's like 70 trillion people using Microsoft AI, when obviously that's just not the case. And since they know that's not the case, now they're trying to sort of fire everybody and pretend, oh yeah, our numbers are still up, even if our user base is shrinking super fast. Now, this is Brad Sams, another very reputable Microsoft leaker. This is actually the guy who originally leaked the the Xbox Series S. He actually had pictures of the Xbox Series S like a full week before it came out. He posted them online. Very funny. But I don't know the size of this, but I've heard similar reports that more layoffs are coming. Now, I want to talk about this before we really dig into the implications. I think part of my anchor is the fact that Microsoft has purchased so much For years and years and years, the entire tactic of Team Xbox was that they had the backing of Microsoft. Nintendo, Square Enix, Capcom, PlayStation, a lot of these other companies, they're purely about the gaming. So when they make acquisitions, it leads directly to games, right? All right, if we're buying a studio, it has to make great games. They got to hit the ground running, right? And if they make great games, we reward them with bigger budgets, crazy stuff. If your games are winning a bunch of awards, great. Let's give that company even more like creative freedom. Microsoft is the only company where they buy gaming studios and make them crappier, shut them down, or outright just destroy the brand for like a hypothetical stock increase. I will never forgive them for Tango Gameworks. I love The Evil Within. The Evil Within 1, The Evil Within 2 are masterpieces. I will die on that hill. Literally, please play The Evil Within. They are literally such good classic Resident Evil games made the current day, and Microsoft just said, you know what, it's not worth it, and they shut them down. This still is ridiculous. This is a tweet here from 2024 when they shut them down. People are celebrating acquisitions and pushing for them to get more studios. I feel so bad for the people who work there. But let's also think about the fact that last year, this is from July of 2025, they shut down 9,000 jobs, including, of course, canceling Perfect Dark, Everwild, and a bunch of other stuff. There's now actually more leaked details about this MMORPG. They're actually working on a giant secret, super expensive Microsoft MMORPG, barely rivaling like World of Warcraft and stuff. And apparently everybody working on it said it's fantastic. Phil Spencer, when he play tested the secret MMORPG, was so addicted to it at the studio, they had to drag him away from the console. He was having so much fun playing this MMORPG for hours and hours and hours. And then he goes back to headquarters and they shut down the studio. Now, why are they doing that? Because of AI. All that matters is AI. More and more people are talking about the fact that what's making AI so incredibly expensive is that it's not just about like a software thing. They're building these massive AI data centers. Massive. I mean, we're talking trillions of dollars of actual chips, buying land, the construction, the parts, the powers, literally rerouting entire power grids. There are literally tiny towns that are literally dying in the United States because their power grids are basically just getting destroyed by these AI data centers. People are actually doing mass protests, even trying to like sue them to stop this kind of stuff. Because going all in on AI, it's not just bad for gaming, it's bad for everything in general. This isn't just, I hate AI art, although obviously I hate AI art. It's stuff like this, that Microsoft will destroy everything for the hypothetical value of AI. They'll destroy every game on the planet for a chance to get a 2% increase in stock value. Microsoft is reportedly planning to cut another round of jobs starting in January 2026. Estimates suggest between 11,000 and 22,000 roles could be removed worldwide. That's about 5 to 10% of its total workforce. Reports from workers point to Azure cloud teams, the Xbox gaming unit, and global sales as key areas of focus. So far, Microsoft has not confirmed this, but it would follow a difficult 2025. During that war, Microsoft cut more than 15,000 jobs across several rounds. Some of these even came after revenue and profits are staying strong. That is because of their AI focus and its drive to shift the focus. At the same time, Microsoft is heavily spending on AI systems. In the first quarter of fiscal 2026 alone, capital reached $35 billion. The company expects to spend about $80 billion, which would be higher than fiscal 2025. Look at all the replies. A difficult 2025 where they made $100 billion in profit. Yeah, but think about those executive bonuses. Can't have those going down. The Dow Jones is above 49,000 and unemployment is skyrocketing because they don't care about anything except for the profit at the top. Turns out the most expensive part of tech companies isn't the $35 billion of hardwares, it's the audacity of employees for wanting a paycheck. Here we go. This stuff is abhorrent. We're laying people off because AI makes things happen cheaper. We're laying things off because AI is getting expensive. Sounds like a terrible management is the problem, not necessarily how AI is being used. How has AI made anyone actual cash? NVIDIA is selling the shovels. They're swimming in the cash. This is so wild. Look at that. This is disturbing. The company does feel bad. You're fired. The company does the best it's ever done. You're fired. Look at this. Everybody's really kind of pointing out the fact that this is wild, that it does feel like in a lot of ways, I don't think these companies have a long-term goal, right? If you're not making any games and you own game studios, they're all going to die. If you're trying to make, a company that produces everything via AI, your giant supercomputer makes all the games, all the decisions, all the updates, all the code, all the movies, all the everything, it starts to become that thing where it's like, okay, then who's going to work? If there are no game developers making good ideas, who's going to buy the games? Who's going to make the games? Just trying to make it so this giant bubble prints out slop, it's not going to lead to any sort of progress. The best games of the last 10 years, a lot of them have been indie games. I think I'm kind of almost afraid about how good Expedition 33 is, because I'm almost terrified that now it's going to be this specific landmark fence post. The last real game made by humans. I don't know. Not that I'm saying that human game development is going away, but it kind of feels like that last generation of a game made purely before AI. I don't know. These are some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about the future of Microsoft, the future of Xbox, and the future of gaming? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.